I stumbled out the patio door with a rod in my hand. The annoying dogs were in my trash again. The clatter of my trash container toppling over woke me. It was the third time that week, and I was getting weary of it. Why couldn't people keep their pesky dogs at home? I knew the dogs were just hungry, but this was over the top. I opened the back gate quietly and prepared to rush out and give the scruffy mutts some payback. I flung the gate open and dashed to the garbage containers. There were two shadowy figures with one container on its side. I raised the pole and they noticed me. "Please, mister, we were just starving," one of them said. "We'll tidy it up. Don't hurt us." It wasn't dogs, it was two children. They were definitely wild-looking, though. It was dim back there, and I grabbed them by the collars, dragging them into the backyard under the security lights. I stood them up and looked them over. They were shabby and dirty. They looked like wanderers. They had on simple baggy clothes and baseball caps. It was chilly out, and I could see them shivering. "Did you two mess with my garbage earlier in the week?" I asked. They glanced at one another. "Yeah, you always leave some stuff like pizza or something in your trash," one of them said. "I'm sorry we left it. We won't do it again. Just let us go, mister. We won't trouble you no more. We'll clean it up." This wouldn't do. I took them firmly by the shirts and escorted them inside. I took them straight to the bathroom, pushed them in, and shut the door. "Don't come out until I get back," I said. I went and got some of my ex-wife's sweatpants, hoodies, fresh socks, and big fluffy towels. I took them to the bathroom and opened the door. They were trying to open the window and escape. "You may like being grimy," I told them, "but I don't think a hot shower is going to hurt you. There's soap and shampoo in the shower. Here are fresh clothes and towels. Get undressed and get in the shower." "We don't like being grimy," the older one hissed at me. "We ain't got no proper shower like you. You just gonna stand there?" "You might snatch something," I said. "Yeah, right," the smaller one said. "We gonna take your toilet paper. We ain't robbers. You some kind of a creep, mister? You like little girls?" I was speechless. Now that I looked closely, there were definitely girls under all that dirt. I stammered. "I didn't know you were girls. Just clean up and I'll get you something to eat. Come to the kitchen when you get clean and I'll feed you." I left them the bathroom and went to the kitchen. I opened the refrigerator and took inventory. There was cold fried chicken, half a bowl of potato salad, a half-eaten vegetable tray, some pastrami for sandwiches, and baby dill pickles. I divided the chicken onto 2 plates. There were 3 pieces for each one, and I gave them each a generous pile of potato salad. I put the veggies on a plate and got some ranch for them to dip in. Some pickles on the plate, a pastrami sandwich for each of us, and some chips for me. And them too, if they wanted them, completed a pretty good meal, I thought. I hoped they liked Munster cheese, mayo, and mustard on their sandwiches. I heard the bathroom door open quietly and murmured outside the kitchen door. After a minute, 2 of the most stunning girls I'd ever seen walked into my kitchen. They had long, midnight black hair and olive skin, the greenest eyes on earth, a little almond-shaped high cheekbones, and just the most adorable little noses imaginable made them quite a pair. They looked like they hadn't quite made it to a teen yet, maybe 11 or 12. It was amusing seeing them in Brianna's clothes. She's a tall girl and they were very small. They had sleeves and pant legs rolled up and they looked like wanderers. "Pull up a chair," I invited them. "Do you like Coke, or I have juice or milk?" They both wanted milk. "I'm McKay North," I told them as I poured their milk. I set it on the counter in front of them. "Dig in." "I'm Maggie," the bigger one said. "That's short for Margaret. She's Stokely. Can we really eat all this?" "You can have more if you want another sandwich," I said. "I'll cook for you in the morning. I'm not cooking at 2 a.m. "No, this is good, thank you," Stokely said. Maggie looked at me suspiciously. "What do you want from us? We ain't doing anything inappropriate." I laughed. "No, me either. If either one of you has any intentions on my virtue, you're going to be disappointed." They clearly didn't understand my sense of humor. "I'm not available to young girls," I said. I could tell they didn't like the young girls reference, but they started eating. They ate like ravenous animals. "Hey, whoa, slow down," I told them. "It isn't trying to escape. The chickens are dead, and the potatoes were never very quick. You're going to make yourselves sick." That got a chuckle out of them, but they ate less hungrily. "Where are you girls staying?" I asked them. "There's an empty house down the block," Maggie said. "We found a mattress and we've got some stuff to cover up with. We're afraid the drug users are going to move in, though. As soon as they find out it's vacant, they will." "Would you like to sleep in a warm, clean bed tonight?" I asked them. They looked at me cautiously again. Not mine, I laughed. I have 3 spare bedrooms. Well, they're mine too, but you know what I mean. They giggled nervously. We ain't got no money, Stokely said. We can't pay you. We collect cans, but we just spend all that on food. I'm not asking you to pay me, I said. Did you hear me say I want you to pay me? What gives, she asked. Why you being so kind to us, Call me Mac, I said. Everyone does. Why you acting all nice, Mac, she asked, and I'm not acting anyway, I told her. I'm a nice guy, just ask my mom. That got smiles from them. I liked that. I decided I'd make them do it a lot. If I were in your shoes, I'd want someone to be kind to me, I said. They seemed to consider that. Can I have some of those chips? Stokely asked. I pushed the bag over and they both reached in while they ate their sandwiches. I had finished mine. They drank their milk and looked like they wanted more. I poured them another glass and they drank that too. I was amazed. But they cleaned their plates down to the crumbs and ate all the veggies. They must have been really hungry. Off to bed, I told them. You'll each have your own bathroom. There are toothbrushes, combs, and stuff like that in the vanities. Aspirins, tummy ache stuff, toothpaste and floss in the medicine cabinets. Anything else you need, you have to ask me. Can we lock the doors? Maggie asked. Yes, but you have to open them in a reasonable amount of time if I ask you to, I said. They looked at me strangely. Light dawned in Maggie's impossibly green eyes. He's afraid we'll steal stuff, she told her sister. We won't steal anything, Mac. It's okay if you don't trust us. We don't trust you very much either. I had to laugh. Okay, we have a mutual distrust. You're going to find out you can trust me. I hardly ever harm beautiful girls. That got me another pair of bright smiles. I think they liked the beautiful part. They followed me down the hall and entered their rooms. I heard the locks snap and smiled to myself. When I got back in bed, I lay awake for a while. What was the situation with these girls? Why were they searching through my trash? Why were they alone? Where was their family? I was going to get some answers in the morning. I was getting dressed when I heard the floor creak down the corridor. I opened the door a crack, and they were sneaking toward the living room. I assumed they were going to leave, so I opened the door. They stopped. You girls ready for breakfast? I asked. They glanced at each other. Maybe we better just leave, Maggie said. You ain't going to, keep us or anything, are you? You mean force you to stay? I asked. They exchanged looks again. They looked back at me and nodded. No, I won't force you to do anything, I said. It's against my rules to force people to do things. I'd appreciate it if you'd eat breakfast with me, though. They glanced at one another again. You'll let us leave after that? Stokely asked. If you want to, I said. Actually, I was hoping you'd want to spend the day with me. If you don't, that's okay. But do you have a meeting somewhere? Yeah, we need to meet with our financial consultant, Maggie smiled. It lit her up like a Christmas tree. What you going to feed us? First, you left an air out of that sentence, I told her. What are you going to feed us? You an English teacher or something? She asked. As a matter of fact, I am, I told her. I teach English literature at the university. Cool, Stokely said. We don't attend school. Too busy. You do eat breakfast, though, right? I was thinking waffles and bacon. Do you girls like that? They did, so we went in and they grabbed the waffle iron while I mixed up the batter. They cooked the waffles while I fried 2 pounds of bacon. I'm kind of a syrup snob. I'm a coffee connoisseur, too. I let Maggie flip the bacon while I ground coffee beans and put the percolator on. It all came together pretty well, and we had real maple syrup and waffles. They bothered me by asking if I had creamer for the coffee. I keep some around for the barbarians in Brianna, and they liked the vanilla hazelnut. We ate all the bacon, and they each had 3 waffles. You girls stick with me, and I'll have you as chubby as toads in a week, I told them. They both laughed, and it was the most delightful sound I'd ever heard. They drank milk like starving calves, too. My pantry was going to need some attention. So tell me about Maggie and Stokely, I said. What's up with you girls? Why are you rummaging through people's trash for food? We took mugs of coffee into the living room and they told me a tale of sorrow. Their father was an auto worker. He lost his job when they were little and started drinking and abusing them. Their mother divorced him and they never saw him again. The Detroit economy was a disaster. Well, everything about Detroit was a disaster, but jobs were scarce. Their mother drove a cab and she picked up the wrong fare one night. He stabbed her for what little money they'd been put in foster care, and the man of the house started abusing them. They ran away, and they'd been living on the streets for 3 months. Their last name was Steele, and they worried about freezing to death and where their next meal was coming from. I sat there for a while after they finished talking. Jesus Christ, they were breaking my heart. I wondered how many like them were out there. It was probably a more frequent story than I imagined. I wondered if they'd let me help them. I wondered how I could assist them. It seemed unlikely that child services would let them stay with me. A single man keeping 2 young girls sounded like something a pervert would dream up, and I was pretty sure it wouldn't fly with social services. They interrupted my thoughts. "Mac, you married?" Stokely asked. "I was," I told them. "My ex decided I wasn't driven enough. She's a hotshot lawyer and she was going places. She didn't have room in her life for being married." "What a jerk," Maggie said. I chuckled. "She's really a very nice person. She didn't cheat on me or anything, and we're still very close friends. We mutually decided that we should never have gotten married. We were very young and very naive." "How old are you?" Stokely wanted to know. "I'm 28, I told her. "How old are you?" "I'm 11 and she's 13, she said. "What we going to do today?" "What are we going to do today?" I corrected her. "Yeah, what you said." "We're going to chat," I told her, "and first I'm going to introduce you to someone." I opened the garage door and a bundle of wiggling fur dashed through the door. He noticed our guests and shot over to them, leaping onto the sofa and lying across their laps, licking them with a big pink tongue. "This is Granville," I told them. "I call him Granny." They were giggling uncontrollably as he soaked them with his tongue. He weighs about 130, and they weren't getting up with him on their laps. I'm sure he outweighed them. "Down, Granny," I told him. He reluctantly climbed down and lay on their feet. "He's huge," Stokely laughed, petting his head. "What kind of dog is he?" "He's kind of striped like a tiger." "He's a bull mastiff," I said. "He's called a brindle, and that's why he's that color." "He looks like he could rip our faces off," Maggie said. "Yes, he could, but he won't. He's friendly to my friends. He sees you sitting in our house and being friendly, so he loves you. If you were being hostile toward me, he would have been alarmed and very aggressive. Now that he knows you, he won't let anyone be hostile toward you either. If I yelled at you, he wouldn't like that. He's very protective of people he cares about." Stokely jumped down and lay on top of him, hugging him around the neck while he licked her arm. "I love him," she said. "He's so wrinkly and adorable." "Does he live in the garage?" "No, he lives in the house," I said. "He was sick yesterday, and I put him out there so he wouldn't throw up all over the house." "What made him sick?" Stokely asked. "He eats things he shouldn't," I said. "He chews up sticks, eats bugs, dead stuff he finds, no telling what. He seems to be fine today." "Yuck," Maggie exclaimed. "He was licking my face." "Yeah, he's cute, but kind of a disaster," I said. "He's my buddy, though, so I just put up with him. He'll be your buddy, too, if you let him. We should take him for a walk." I grabbed his leash, and Maggie wanted to lead him. He mostly leads the person with the leash, so she stayed a few yards ahead of Stokely and me, being dragged along. Stokely put her little hand in mine. I looked down at her, and she smiled up at me. God, she was stunning. "Is it okay?" she asked. "Sure, darling," I said. "I like holding hands with beautiful girls." She blushed a little, but she didn't let go. We walked a couple of miles, and Granny was panting and drooling by the time we got back. It was cold, but he does that anyway. We got more coffee and talked all afternoon. I finally asked them if they would let me help them. "What can you do?" Maggie asked. "I really don't know," I told them. "I could talk to Brianna. She's a lawyer, albeit a different kind. Maybe she would have some suggestions." "Is that the jerk?" Maggie asked. "Maggie, she isn't a jerk," I told her. "Stop calling her that. Do you trust me?" They looked at each other and then back at me. "Yeah, I guess so," Stokely said. "You're being very kind to us." "Well, let's give her a call and see if she'll come over," I said. "You'll like her. Just give her a chance." Brianna was busy, but she said she would come over for supper. Bree is this tall, stunning redhead. She's smoking hot, but she's never realized that. I could tell the girls were impressed when she walked in. She gave me a kiss that made my toes curl and embraced both the girls. "You've replaced me," she winked at me. "No, Bree, you're irreplaceable, you know that," I joked. She really was. I told the girls we were still friends, and we were. We were friends with benefits. We still had some great intimacy together, sometimes once a week or more. Sometimes she came over and stayed with me for a week or so, and we had amazing times. She just didn't have room for a husband in her life, and I doubted she ever would. She cared for me in her own way, and I cared for her too. We just couldn't be married. We got along perfectly as lovers, but we fought like cats and dogs when we were married. "So who are your new pals?" she asked. She smiled at them, and I knew they were starstruck. "I'm Maggie, and she's Stokely." "Pleased to meet you," Bree said. "You do know that this guy is dangerous, right?" "Not to us," Stokely said. "I think he might be to someone he was enemies with. He has a club and a really big dog." Bree nudged Granville with her toe, and he snored in protest. "Hey, big guy." She crouched and hugged him. "Miss me?" He rolled his eyes up at her, but couldn't summon the energy to raise his head. "What's up, Mac?" she asked. "What did you want to talk to me about?" "Not that I mind the supper invitation. He's an excellent cook, girls, if you can get him motivated." "I think he made lamb chops," Maggie said. "We've never had that before." "Well, you're in for a treat then, but what's up?" she asked again. We ate dinner and I explained. "We need your help, Bree," I told her. "We don't know anything about legal matters. The girls are orphans. Well, their dad may be alive, but no one knows where. He abandoned them, and their mother was killed. They were in foster care, and some jerk started abusing them. They ran away, and they're living on the streets. They were going through my trash looking for something to eat, and I caught them. Now we're trying to figure something out so they won't be back on the streets." She stared at me for a moment. "You want them, don't you? Jesus Christ, Mac. You've always wanted kids, and because I won't give you any, you want them, don't you?" I turned red. "Yeah, I sorta do. How do you think that could happen, Bree?" "I don't think it could," she replied. "No family court is going to give you two young girls. You're a single man. It's a disaster waiting to happen. They won't do it." I glanced over at the girls. They were staring at me with wide eyes. "What?" I asked. They looked at each other and broke into tears. Both of them rushed over and wrapped their arms around me. "You wanted to keep us," Stokely sobbed. "I can't believe that. I didn't think we would ever find anyone. No, she couldn't continue. I held them close. "Yes, girls, I was thinking about it. You need someone to look after you. I need someone to look after me. I thought we might do that together, and Granny would watch out for all of us." Their tiny bodies were trembling, and they pressed against me tightly. I looked helplessly over at Bree, and there were tears streaming down her face. She glanced from the girls to me. "Damn it, Mac. Look what you've done to me. Just when I think I know you, you always shock me. What am I going to do with you?" There was a strange expression on her face, as if she were seeing me for the first time. "Let me think for a few days. Girls, you're going with me. You can't stay here with Mac. It would ruin everything if that ever came out. Mac, we're taking Granny with us. I can't stay at home, and he'll have to watch over them." She was like a whirlwind as she spun around and whisked them and Granny out of the house into her Mercedes. "I'll call you," she said. She did call for about 30 seconds, 3 times over the next 2 weeks. I didn't see the hide or hair of them until she called me Friday morning and told me she wanted to meet me for supper at Alfonso's. It's a great Italian place in Pontiac, and we went there often. She was already there when I showed up, sitting at the bar with men hovering around her. She jumped up when she saw me and left them salivating. We went to a booth, and she pushed me over and sat next to me. She usually prefers sitting across from me, so I knew something was up. We ordered, and she didn't say anything for a while. "You know I love you, right, Mac?" she finally began. "Yes, I love you too," I said. "I don't mean like I love your mom or anything. I'm in love with you, Mac. I always have been since that day at Cedar Point. You're the only man I've ever loved or ever will love," she said. "I trust you implicitly. I love everything about you except being married to you. You know how I am. I like to be free, no commitments, no baggage, nothing tying me down. I love my job and my life. I don't love them more than you, but I don't have to choose. You're as faithful as Granny is. We have an understanding. I don't get involved with anyone but you. I never have. You know that. You've always understood me. That's why all this is going to sound as strange as hell." "Uh-oh," I laughed. "Sounds like I'm in for an unexpected surprise." She shot me a "you're an idiot" look. "Yes, I'm afraid you are. Will you marry me, Mac?" I nearly choked to death. After I recovered, I just sat there with my mouth open. Stop being a dolt and answer me, she snapped. No way, I finally got out. Why, Bree? We make each other miserable. We'd be at each other's throats in a month. What's wrong with what we do now? Nothing, she said. This has nothing to do with us. It has to do with the sweetest, most adorable girls on the face of the planet, Mac. I'm totally in love with them. You've changed my life completely when you invited me over that night. They're desperate to see you. They cry and beg me every night to come and see you. The problem is I'm not going to give them up. I've never had so much fun or frustration in my life as I have since they've been with me. Neither one of us has a stable home environment. No judge in his right mind would give them to either one of us. If we were married, they would give them to us in a heartbeat. So, if I want them, I'm going to have to take you as part of the package. If you want them, you're going to have to put up with me. Can we do it, Mac? We're great partners and I love you to death. Can you avoid irritating the heck out of me? I doubt it, I told her. You're just as bad as I am. You come home drunk? You're never on time for anything except your job. And you don't come home at all, then don't call me. Heck, Bree, we've been there and done that. Yes, I know. The thing is, what if it's different now? I can't wait to get home at night. I always call them if I'm going to be late. I never dreamed I could feel like this. Marry me, Mac. Give me a chance. I'll give you one. I think we need to talk about things, I said. So talk. What are we doing? You think I'm just flapping my gums here? Tell me what needs to happen. You want me to go first? I took a big gulp and signaled the waiter for another glass of drink. Shoot, I told her. The thing that bothers me the most about you is you're so needy, she said. You need to know everything that I'm doing in great detail. When I'm going to be where, who I'm with, what I'm doing, when I'm going to be home. You're kind of obsessive about stuff. If you would just quit trying to control me and let me be me, we'd still be married. You never could. It drives me crazy. Surely you know by now that you're the only man I'll ever be interested in. You know that, right, Mac? Yeah, I guess I do, I said. That used to bother me a lot. I worried that you'd find someone and leave me. That's never going to happen, she promised. I've never even thought about another man since the day I first met you. I go to dinner with clients and colleagues. I go dancing with groups, men and women I entertain. That's what I do, but from the moment I met you, no man or woman has ever touched me intimately or ever will. Do you believe me? Yes, it's the same for me. I trust you, Bree. I know you'd never hurt me. You're just so carefree and careless. I'm as in love with you as I was on the first day we were married. I think you feel the same way about me and we were comfortable where we were at. Well, I'm not anymore, she said. There are these two girls who need a family. I love them nearly as much as I do you. I love them more than my job. I want to be part of their lives, and the only way I see that happening is with the two of us doing it together. So, will you give me a chance, Mac? Will you marry me and try to love me so we can have this family together? I'm never going to bear children. I'm too vain and selfish to do that to myself. However, we can have these girls. Marry me, Mac, and I'll try my best to make you deliriously happy, okay? Obviously, you've had some time to think about this, I said. Give me some time too, okay? She glanced at her watch. You have 20 minutes, she said. Am I on some sort of deadline? I asked. Yes, they're going to be outside waiting for us in 20 minutes, she said. They should get here in 10 minutes. They're going to walk Granny for 10 minutes, and then a car is picking us up to take us to your house. We hurriedly finished our meal and walked outside. There was a limo waiting, but no sign of the girls. The driver told us they were walking the dog. He seemed to disapprove of the dog. Maybe he didn't like drool on his upholstery. We waited a few minutes and I saw them hurrying toward the car. Let's go, Maggie said when they got to us. There's a guy following us. Granny doesn't like him. He growled at him. I glanced down the sidewalk and there was a young man approaching. He was about 5'8", had tattoos and metal sticking out of his face. He had on a stocking cap and a hoodie, and his pants looked like they were about to fall off him. I think he was under the impression that he looked tough, a pale imitation of the real Slim Shady. What you looking at? He addressed me. Nothing, we're just leaving, I said. You think you all look fancy, nice sport coat, fine women, big car, he said. You look like you got some spare money. The guy was out of his mind. I was 8 inches taller than he was and probably 100 pounds heavier. I don't have a fat belly either. I think you better move on, I told him. My dog doesn't like you. He advanced to about 4 feet away. I ain't scared of no weak dog, he said. How much money you got on you? He reached inside his coat toward the top of his pants, and I saw a flash of metal. I kicked him in the chest and he launched backward through the air. A knife fell out of his pants to the ground. Maggie lost Granny's leash as he sprang. The kid had the presence of mind to protect his face with his arm, and I heard the crunch as Granny bit down on that forearm. He screamed, and Granny ripped the sleeve out of his hoodie. "Granville, heel," I said. He dropped the sleeve and came to sit beside me. The kid was writhing around on the ground, and I went and knelt beside him, Granny at my side. "Choke, Granny," I told him. He sprang forward, and the kid froze as those huge jaws closed around his neck. "I think you're a jerk," I told him. "Are you a jerk?" He nodded a little, his face rigid with fear. "Say it," I told him. He didn't respond. "Bite, Granny," I said. "Ah!" He screamed a little, and I saw blood trickling down his neck as those huge canine teeth broke the skin. You could hear the air snoring in and out of Granny's nose. "Say it," I repeated. "I'm a jerk," he gasped. "How much money you got?" I asked him. "Give it to me." He reached into his pocket, and Granny must have squeezed. "Slowly," I told him as he flopped around. He pulled out a roll and handed it to me. "Let him go, Granny," I said. He reluctantly released his hold, and the kid scrambled backward. "I'm giving you a 20-yard head start," I said. "Then I'm going to send him after you. I suggest you run fast." He was off like a sprinter. He got about 15 feet and his pants fell down. He took a nasty tumble and jumped back up, pulling his pants up and holding them with his good arm as he ran. "You need a belt," I called after him. I turned back to the girls, and all three of them were standing there with their mouths open. I kicked the knife into the storm sewer opening. "What?" I asked. Bree unfroze first. "You're a tough one to mess with, Mac. Remind us not to upset you." The girls launched themselves at me, and I hugged them up. "Jesus, Mac," Stokely said into my chest. "I thought that guy was scary. You really took care of him. Thank you. You did that for us, didn't you?" "Well, nobody messes with my girls," I told her. "He left you a little donation for your college fund." I handed her the roll. She counted it. There was $700 in it. He must have robbed some other poor people recently. She split it with Maggie, and we got in the car. I was turned a little in the back, hugging Maggie, and I noticed something. "There's a van following us," I said. "I know," Bree said. "It has some of our stuff in it." I raised one eyebrow at her. "Yes, I know I'm taking a lot for granted," she grinned. "Girls," Mac said, "yes. We're going to get married again, and we're going to keep you." They gasped and squealed. "Really, Mac?" Maggie asked. "She really isn't mean. You were right, we love Bree. She's been so nice to us. We have a bunch of new clothes, and she got us into this nice school. We're going to make you guys so proud of us, I promise you'll never be sorry." "We know you will, sweetheart. Don't worry about that," Bree said. I was in a bit of shock. I tried to say something, but I couldn't get the words off my tongue. "Are you okay, Mac?" Stokely asked. Bree laughed. "No, he's going into full panic mode. His carefully ordered world is turning upside down. Everything in his house is spotless. Everything is in the perfect place. He's going to have girls' things hanging in the shower, and we're going to move his books and leave drink rings on his coffee table, and it's going to drive him crazy. I honestly don't know how he manages to live with Granville. We're going to have to love him so much that he doesn't care that there are crumbs on the counter. Think we can do that?" "I think you can," Maggie laughed. "I don't know about us." "Oh, he's a softie for pretty girls," Bree assured them. "All you will have to do is bat your eyelashes at him and he'll melt into a puddle. He'll be frustrated with me, though. That will frustrate me, and you girls will have to help us sort it out, okay?" I groaned. "I didn't actually agree to any of this," I said. "Bree is being her usual whirlwind and just sweeping us all along." "Do you love Bree?" Stokely asked me. "Yes, I love her from the other side of town," I tried to explain. "Yes, but we all need to be together," Maggie said. They all burst out laughing at that statement, and I had to join them. The idea was ridiculous. How did I lose control like this? As usual, Brianna had just taken over. My little inquiry into helping the girls had become a full-blown marriage and adoption scheme. By such small actions, a whole life spins out of control. I thought this was a wild idea, and I told Bree that as soon as we got to my house. There was a flurry of activity, and movers carried mountains of stuff inside and put it in various rooms. To my astonishment, there was pile after pile of girls' clothing going into Maggie's and Stokely's rooms. "Where did you girls get all that stuff?" I asked Maggie as she swept by. "Bree took us shopping a bunch of times," she said, disappearing into her room. Bree stuck her head out of my room. "God, Mac, don't you ever get rid of anything? You have stuff you had when we got married? I'm throwing it away. I need drawers and closet space. I rushed to rescue my high school letter jacket from the trash heap. Stop it, Brianna, I yelled. This stuff isn't to be thrown away. If I didn't want it, I wouldn't have kept it. This is my house, and I'll ask you to leave if you don't stop. She stuck her head out and gave me a glare. Really? Bony, huh? She snorted. She grabbed me by the sleeve of my jacket and dragged me into the bedroom. It looked like a cyclone had hit. In one motion, she locked the door, pulled her dress off, and leaned over with her hands on the bed. My breath caught in my throat. She wasn't wearing anything underneath. Her figure was far from bony. It was toned, small, tight, and very fit. She gave me a playful look. You know what I want, Mac, she said, her eyes blazing. I need you right now. We'll take our time later. I'm onto your plan, I replied. You're trying to distract me from what's happening with my house and my life. Yes, just go with it now, she pleaded. Please, Mac. I regret to say that her plan worked. By the time she was finished with me, I was utterly exhausted. She got up and moved around as soon as she realized I wasn't getting up anytime soon. Go take some vitamins, she said, sweeping out of the room. We've got a lot to do. This isn't over. By the time the house was in some semblance of order, it was 3 a.m. By the time she decided I was done for the night, it was nearly 4:30. I slept until 10 the next morning before stumbling to the shower. By the time I shaved and showered, I was starting to feel like myself again. Bree was still asleep, her flame-colored hair covering her face as she lay on her belly. Her figure was stunning. I went into the living room and Granny was asleep, drooling on a pile of my best dress shirts. I sighed and got a glass of orange juice and a muffin. Come on, Granny, I told him. Let's get out of here. He raised his head and rolled his eyes, groaning as he got to his feet. We went out to the backyard where he took care of his business and came back to lie on my feet. I soaked up some sun, feeling as lazy as a big lizard. It was a very warm day for that time of year. The door opened and Stokely came out, carrying a glass of milk and a muffin. Hi, Angel. I waved a hand at her. Hi, Mac. She closed the door behind her. She paused for a moment, then came over to the glider where I was sitting. Is there enough room for me? She asked. I scooted over and she sat down on my lap, placing her feet in the space I had cleared. She curled up with a sigh and took a bite of her muffin. Her big green eyes seemed to look right through me. Mac, she started, crumbs falling over our laps. I told her. Eat first, then take a sip of milk, swallow, and then talk. She giggled and didn't try to speak again until her mouth was empty. Mac, she started again. If you adopt us, will you be our dad and will Bree be our mom? Would you like that? I asked. Oh yeah, she said, her eyes lighting up. Bree would be the coolest mom ever. You're not cool like she is, but I think you're more reliable. I love you and I think you'd make the best dad ever. I nearly choked. Well, I sputtered, I guess it's good to be reliable, even if I'm not cool. She laughed. I didn't mean it like that. I just think she's like a force of nature and you're like a steady mountain. She really loves you, you know. She talks about you all the time. She told us so much about you and her. Do you love her? Yes, honey, but you're right. She's like a force of nature. It's like trying to love a thunderstorm or a wildfire. Mountains don't care about thunderstorms or wildfires, she said. Maggie's kind of like her. I'm more like you. She nestled closer to me. I think if we wanted, we could just let them swirl around us, and we'd be the calm at the center of their storm. She looked up at me. I want you to be our dad, Mac. I never thought we'd find someone like you. Bree either. She wiped away a tear. We've been so scared and so lonely, Mac. Do you have room for girls like us in your life? I squeezed her small form close. In my heart, Stokely, there's plenty of room in my heart. I've wanted someone like you and Maggie to love for years. I didn't think I'd ever have that. Bree never showed any interest in having kids. I think you girls have changed her life as much as you've changed mine. I've seen the way she looks at you. It's as if she woke up and realized she enjoys being a mother. I've never seen anything affect her like you have. You were right about her, Stokely said, her voice quiet but sincere. She's amazing. She can be a little overwhelming sometimes, though. When she decides to do something, she just pulls you along. I chuckled. I know, right? She's always been that way. The first time I met her, we were with a group from a college class at an amusement park. She decided I was going to be her riding partner. I'd actually gone because I was interested in someone else, but before I knew it, she had me all to herself, and we didn't even see the rest of our group after that. We were 20, and I fell for her that day. She's like a force of nature. She just sweeps into your life and takes over. We had our first fight a month after we got married. What did you fight about? Stokely asked, curiosity written on her face. It's a bit silly, I said with a smile. It was about shoes. She kept moving mine around and putting hers on top of them. I had to dig through her shoes to find mine, and she scuffed mine up. She says I'm obsessive, compulsive. Maybe she's right, but is it too much to ask for her to keep her shoes on her side of the closet? It escalated from there. She's spontaneous, and I like having a plan. Those differences drive us nuts, but somehow we make it work. Stokely giggled. Maggie and I fight about stuff like that too. She's always misplacing things, and she'll get an idea and just go with it without any warning. I think we need to change a little bit, Mac. Maybe we need to go with the flow more, but they need to change too. They need to understand that we like things in the right place. Do you think we can make it work? I'm not sure, I admitted. Bree and I have a really strange dynamic. I love her more than ever, but we've never really had to try before. Our relationship was always a bit unconventional. She doesn't talk much about how she feels, she shows it through her actions. We're closer now than we were when we were married, but it hasn't been easy. There were times when we were angry at each other, but we've figured out how to be together without completely changing. We've grown, but it's been a process, and maybe, just maybe, you girls are the reason we're seeing things differently. The idea of becoming a family is exciting, but it's also a little scary. What if we mess it up? I know, Stokely said, her voice soft but wise. But sometimes you just have to take a chance. You don't get anything good without taking the risk that it might not work out. I hugged her, feeling the warmth of her simple wisdom. You're the wisest 11-year-old I've ever met. I'll be 12 next month, she corrected with a grin. We finished our muffins and headed back inside. The others were still asleep, so we took Granny for a walk. By the time we returned, Bree and Maggie were awake and moving around, looking like they'd just rolled out of bed, stretching and yawning. But once they got in the shower, they transformed into their usual energetic selves. Bree quickly took charge, arranging for us to get a marriage license, file adoption papers, and get temporary custody started. It was a whirlwind, but the girls were excited. Later we went out for dinner. Seafood, which the girls had never tried before. They were amazed at how delicious it was, and at how expensive it was. It was a good day, full of hope for the future. Wow, Mac, you must make tons of money, Maggie said, her eyes wide. I chuckled. I do okay, I said with a shrug. I make around $90,000 a year. I could take care of all of us if I needed to. Bree, on the other hand, she makes about 10 times what I do. The girls stared at Bree, stunned for a moment. Bree laughed. It's just money, she said casually. The real thing is, we can afford to treat you girls to anything you want. And when it comes to cooking, Mac can usually do better than the restaurants if we can talk him into it. Do you cook? Maggie asked Bree, genuinely curious. Yes, but mostly just simple stuff, Bree replied. Anyone can follow a recipe. But Mac? He's a genius in the kitchen. I smiled. She's really good. If she could get past her tendency to get distracted and burn things, she'd be amazing. Bree playfully punched my arm. Make one mistake and he never lets me forget it, she laughed. I snorted. The first year we were married, we didn't have a dog to eat the burnt food, so it really stank up the house. Bree took it out back and dumped it under a tree. For weeks it looked like we were making offerings to some tree god. The girls burst into laughter. Bree snuggled against me, clearly in a great mood, and I wrapped my arm around her, squeezing her gently. The girls giggled at our affection. We ain't never eaten at a place like this, Maggie said, looking around in awe. Bree turned to her, a teasing glint in her eyes. Maggie, you can't talk like that. You'll drive Mac crazy in a week if you do. I know you can do better. Try again. Maggie paused, thinking for a moment. We've never eaten at a place such as this, she said, flashing me a proud smile after I nodded in approval. We know how to talk. I mean speak. We just got into the habit of, well, talking like the people we grew up with. We went to school until Mom died. We got good grades, too. I believe you, honey, Bree said, her voice warm. I think you'll do just fine. Just remember, we may be from Detroit, but we have class. The girls beamed with pride at her words. Bree was giving them more than just material things. She was showing them a new way of life. She taught them how to dress, how to sit, how to eat and drink with poise, how to do their hair and makeup. In 6 months, you'd have thought they'd been raised in New England with all the confidence and grace of girls who had spent their whole lives there. They were quick learners, and they made excellent grades. That night marked the beginning of their transformation, and for all of us, it was just the start of something new. Bree was excited to begin. When we got home, she told the girls she wanted them to turn the TV on and leave it on all night. They looked at her curiously. "Your father and I have something to do," she gave them a wink. They giggled hysterically and blushed beet red. Bree dragged me off to the bedroom. "We're celebrating," she told me. "What are we celebrating?" I asked. "The start of something amazing," she said. "I love you, Mac. Never doubt that. We're going to make it. Every night I'm going to remind you that I love you, and then I'm going to show you. We've always been dynamite in bed. Tonight I want to take it to a whole new level. Then we're going to keep it there the rest of our lives. You down?" "Show me," I challenged her. She pulled a comb out of her hair and all that shimmering flame came tumbling down. She rarely wears it down, but it comes down to the top of her butt. It's very heavy and wavy, and she swirled it around like a stripper as it fell around her. She strode toward me and turned her back. "Unzip me," she said in a low, sultry voice. She has one of those low voices. I eased the zipper of the blue dress down, letting the backs of my knuckles drag down her spine. She shivered and took 2 strides away, spinning and letting her hair swirl. She eased the shoulders off and the dress fell, hanging briefly at her breasts and again at her hips before pooling at her feet. She stepped gracefully out, her 3-inch heels making her calves just spectacular, thrusting her butt out and arching her back. Her breasts were spectacular too, big and firm and barely restrained by the white lace bra. Her panties matched, and I could see a heart-shaped flame of curls inside. God, she was gorgeous. I don't think she ever realized the effect she had on every man that saw her. She was totally unself-conscious. Men orbited her flame, and she regarded them as so many fireflies. She turned all this smoky heat on me, and I think I was the only man who had ever seen it. Her arms snaked behind her, and her bra fell away, leaving those spectacular breasts to spring forward, gloriously bare, her creamy white skin showing a freckle here and there. She wiggled her hips as she lost the panties, sliding them down to join her other things on the floor. She bit her finger, and the ice blue of her eyes froze me. "I think someone is overdressed," she teased. "What are we going to do about that?" I asked, and she came forward, gliding like flowing water, pushed me down on the bed and straddled me, her knees resting on the bed beside my hips. I could smell her excitement. It was a subtle perfume, almost masked by the Chanel she always wore. It was a faint muskiness, tantalizing and seductive. Her slender, long, clever fingers opened the buttons of my shirt, tugging the tails out of my pants, pushing it off my shoulders and leaving my arms trapped. She pushed me over backwards onto the bed, reaching down to open my belt and pants before tugging on the waistband. I obediently raised my hips and she slid my pants down to my ankles. They hung on my shoes and she untied them, slipping them and my socks off before discarding my pants. This was a whole new level of sensuality, even from Bree. She was always smoking hot, but she had transformed into a neon sign that said, "Take me," in pink letters. When she bent down, ran her tongue over those luscious red lips and engulfed me, I nearly went crazy. I finished and pulled her up until I could reach her mouth with mine. She tried to twist her head, but I kissed her fiercely, crushing the soft plushness of her lips with mine. She clung to me, her eyes still liquid with the unshed tears. "God, Bree," I whispered, "where did you learn to do that?" "A girl at work told me how and I practiced on a toy," she whispered. "Thank you, baby," I breathed. "My turn." I flipped her over and she squealed as I pinned her wrist to the bed. I kissed my way down her long, slender neck and she arched her back, her breasts spiked and thrusting, begging for my touch. I was happy to oblige. When my lips touched those hard little buttons, she gasped and tangled her fingers in my hair, pulling me into the firm mound and calling my name. I had never seen her turned on before. She's always very responsive, but this was new and amazing to me. I loved them for what seemed like 30 minutes, but couldn't have been because she guided my head lower. "More, Mac, I need more," she cried out. I kissed my way down over her flat belly, savoring the way her skin warmed under my lips. She arched her back slightly, a soft sigh escaping her, as though her body was responding to an unspoken rhythm. When I settled between her thighs, she opened to me without hesitation, her muscles taut beneath my touch. I pressed gentle kisses along the sensitive skin of her inner thighs, teasing her with slow, deliberate nibbles. Her breath hitched and a quiet moan spilled from her lips as her body began to move, just a subtle, restless shift that told me everything I needed to know. She groaned, her voice low and thick with pleasure as I worked my way upward, each kiss a promise. "Oh God, Mac," she gasped, her words almost trembling. "You're driving me crazy." Her body softened under my touch, but I wasn't finished. I kissed her again, coaxing another shudder from her as her hands clutched at the sheets. She made a sound halfway between a moan and a laugh, a kind of surrender that made my heart race. "No more," she whispered, her voice shaky and insistent. "Please, I need a moment." "Not yet," I murmured against her skin, my words half a tease and half a promise. Her protests faded into a soft whimper as she gave in, her body arching toward mine. When she finally collapsed back onto the bed, her chest rising and falling with uneven breaths, she turned her head toward me, her eyes hazy but sharp with emotion. "Mac," she whispered, her voice tinged with disbelief. "You're absolutely relentless." I grinned, brushing a hand through her hair. "And you love it." She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide the smile pulling at her lips. I kissed her deeply, her arms sliding up to wrap around my shoulders, her body pressed against mine, warm and soft, and for a moment, the world felt smaller. Just the two of us in this space, this rhythm. Later she whispered, "You know, you're impossible." She shook for a minute, and I held her, stroking her hair and petting the silky skin of her back. She raised her head and stared into my eyes. "Mac, I love you," she said. "I always knew I did. I'm a selfish jerk, I know that too. I never really gave myself to anyone. I did to you, just now. Do you want me, Mac? I think for the first time in my life, I'm ready. I'm ready to be your friend, your lover, your wife, the girl's mother. Will you help me, love me, and be patient with me? I swear to God you'll never regret it. I'm ready, Mac, if you'll help me. Do you love me that much?" I crushed her luscious lips with mine. "I love you more than anything," I said. "You're going to have to help me too. You have to be patient with me as much as I am with you. I've always loved you. If we're a team, we can make it." "I'll do anything for you," she whispered. "I'll do it for the girls too. I never dreamed I'd feel this way. They just came into my life and I couldn't help myself. I'm afraid, Mac. I'm afraid I'll be a rotten mom. I've always been afraid of that. It's why I would never consider having kids. I'm terrified I'll mess them up. Christ, Mac, I don't know how to be a mom." "No, me either," I chuckled. "I suspect Dad is going to be just as hard. I think it's something you learn by doing it. No one knows when they start. I don't know how to be a husband either. I don't know how to be a good one anyway. It's the first time, Brianna." "I know," she whispered. "It was mostly me. I was such a child. I still am, in a lot of ways, Mac. I'm going to try as hard as hell to grow up." "Yeah, me too." I held her close, and at some point we drifted off to sleep. I woke up the next morning with an incredible feeling. When I opened my eyes, Brianna's blazing blue ones were locked on mine. We showered together, giggling like school kids, and when we dried off, she put on pajamas. "What are you doing?" I asked, "and if I'm not mistaken, we'll have visitors soon." She smiled. "You better put something on too. I'm feeling too lazy to get up now." I pulled on boxers and a t-shirt, and we hadn't been back in bed for 10 minutes before someone tapped on the door. "Come in," Bree called. Stokely stuck her head inside. Her face lit up when she saw us, and she came running across the room to throw herself on us. Unfortunately, she left the door open, and a brindle ball of fur also joined us, lying across our feet and sighing in ecstasy. In another 5 minutes, Maggie joined us, and we all had an impromptu wrestling match with Granny. Since he had teeth and drool, he won, and we wrapped him in the bedspread and dragged him out of the bedroom. We managed to shut him out and trooped back to bed for a group cuddle. After about half an hour, the girls complained about being hungry, so we adjourned to a diner for breakfast. At 2 p.m., Bree announced that we had an appointment. She wouldn't tell us what it was, but she drove us down to the municipal court. "Do you have a case?" I asked her. "Yes, the hardest case I've ever had," she laughed. She dragged us inside and into one of the courtrooms. The justice of the peace was there, and he asked us if we were ready. Ready for what? I asked. Bree knelt down on the floor and got a box out of her clutch. Mac, will you marry me again? She asked. This time I promise it will be until we die. I know we promised that last time. But you know I never stopped loving you or wanting to be your wife. You're the only man I ever loved or ever will love. Please, Mac, marry me. She had our wedding rings in the box along with her engagement ring. Brianna, are you sure? I asked her. I've never been so sure of anything in my life, she said. Girls, help me. He's being stubborn. Yes, please, Mac, they both pleaded. Bree really loves you. We want to be a family. We love you too. And we love Bree. How could I resist? It took about 10 minutes and the deed was done. Bree whisked us off to this new Greek restaurant she knew about to celebrate, and I saw my life playing out before my eyes. The most gorgeous woman in the world as my wife and in my bed every night. 2 awesome daughters who were rapidly going to become beautiful women in their own right. What was not to love about that? Would we make it? Only time would tell. It took us about a month to get custody of the girls. Bree worked tirelessly to make that happen, and when it did, they were the happiest girls on earth, and we were the happiest couple. Bree sold her condo and we lived in my house. I had worried a lot about Bree and me getting on each other's nerves. We did too, especially at first. There was a minor flare-up about 3 weeks after we got married when Bree went to dinner with a client and forgot to call us. When she came home, she was greeted with 6 accusing eyes. What? She asked. Stokely held up her phone and Bree's eyes flashed in anger. She opened her mouth and then burst into tears. She ran over and gathered us all on the sofa, kneeling on the floor in front of us, and she just sobbed. I'm so sorry, she choked out. I just forgot to call. I should have called. Please don't be mad at me. I'll try not to do it again. I won't promise not to, but I'm going to tell my aide to remind me. I couldn't think of anything but getting that meeting over and coming home while I was there. Do you forgive me? Stokely, Maggie, Mac, I'm sorry. I don't think Bree had apologized a dozen times in her life. It was the beginning of a whole new kind of relationship between the two of us. We both went out of our way to make the other happy, and the girls were just amazing in helping us. At times I felt like we were the children, and they were the adults, and we had our little spats, but I had never been so happy and content in my life. There was a private school on the campus where I taught, and Bree had the girls enrolled there. They rode to and from school with me, and we bonded during those rides. They talked to me about everything, and they just filled up my life with their enthusiasm. When school was out, we went home, and they went straight to their rooms and did their homework. It usually took them a couple of hours, and when they were through, we took Granny for a walk. At 5, I would start dinner if we were eating at home, and Bree was usually home by 6:30. If she was going to be late, she called well in advance, and we usually went out to eat on those nights. When Maggie turned 16, Brianna asked her what she wanted for her birthday. She told us she wanted her driver's license. She studied and practiced for 2 weeks, and she passed it the first time. The night of her birthday, Brianna talked to me in bed. I want to get her a car, she said. Okay, what kind of a car? I asked. I want to get them a new Camaro convertible, she said. How much does it cost? I wondered. Jesus, Mac, does it matter? She asked. Do you think we're going to go broke? No, I guess it doesn't matter, I said. I just like to know things, Bree. I know, she kissed me. I'm sorry I snapped at you. I think we can get the one I want for somewhere around $60,000. I whistled. That's a lot of car. She's an amazing girl, though. She deserves it. Yes, she does, Brianna smiled. They had a lot of bad things in their lives, Mac. Let's make sure they only have good things now. We ordered the car. It was bright yellow with lots of black stripes and a black interior. We went ahead and got the big V8, against my better judgment. Brianna thought it would hold its value better, and she was probably right. I didn't think Maggie would drive it crazy anyway. When it came in, we parked it in the garage, and when it was time for school, they got their bags and followed me out to the car. Brianna was inside the garage, and I didn't unlock their doors. Dad, Stokely said, let us in. You're not riding with me today, I called. You're going to drive, Maggie. Is Mom not going to work? She asked. No, she's going, I said. What am I going to drive then? She asked. I punched the garage door opener. You'll be driving that, I pointed inside the garage. Her big green eyes went as round as saucers. Neither one of them moved for a minute, and then Maggie began to wail. Big tears rolled down her cheeks and she was shaking like a leaf. I leaped out and Brianna came running down the driveway. I threw my arms around Maggie and Bree joined me. "What's wrong, honey?" I asked her. "We thought you would be happy. It's your car. We got it for your birthday." She tried to tell us something, but she was too choked up for us to understand her. She buried her face in my chest and we held her and petted her until she calmed down enough to speak. Stokely joined the group hug and we finally got Maggie to talk. "I don't want the car," she choked out. "I love you guys so much and it's too much. We don't want you to have to buy us things. Stokely and I have talked about it. We don't need things. We just need you to love us," she broke down again. "Honey, we do love you," Brianna consoled her. "We love both of you more than anything. Having you girls is a dream come true for both of us. We like buying you things, though. We work and make lots of money so we can buy things for our girls. We like making you happy. This is part of the way we show you that we love you. It isn't the big way, but it's a little way. It makes us happy to give you things." Stokely was crying too now. I kissed them both on the cheeks. "Come on," I told them. "It's a really cool car. Let's at least go and look at it." They sniffed around and wiped their eyes and let me lead them into the garage. I opened the door for Maggie and Brianna let Stokely in on the passenger side. Maggie put her hands on the wheel and looked up at me. A smile was starting on her beautiful face. "It looks good on you," I told her. "Start it up." The big V8 rumbled to life and they were both trembling with excitement. I shut the door and knocked on the window. She rolled it down and I kissed her again. "See you at school," I told her. She backed down the driveway to the street and stopped. Brianna and I stood together watching them. Her door popped open and she came flying back up the driveway, throwing herself into our arms and kissing us both over and over. "I love you so much," she repeated again and again. "Thank you, you're the best mom and dad on earth." She ran back to her car and they drove away. I turned to Brianna and she was crying like a baby. My own eyes were leaking for some unaccountable reason. "Look at us," I said. "You would think we were 3 or something." "That was a great idea, Bree. You're an amazing woman." We held each other for a long time. I knew I was going to be late for class, but I didn't care. When Stokely turned 16, we got her one of the new Challengers. It wasn't quite as emotional, but it was special. We took them to Hawaii and Belize when they graduated. The day Stokely started college, I came home to find Brianna crying on the sofa. I went and sat beside her, taking her into my arms and loving on her without saying a word for a while. She just laid her head on my chest and cried quietly for a while. Finally, she looked up at me, those big blue eyes filled with tears. "Our babies are all grown up, Mac," she said. "I know," I kissed her. "That's what babies do." She took my face between her hands and looked deeply into my eyes. "Let's make another one, Mac," she said. "You and me this time. I want a baby, Mac." She broke down and sobbed. "I never thought this would happen. I'm so in love with you and I miss them so much already. I want to do it again. It was so amazing. I know they're just 60 miles away, but I miss them." "Me too, kitten," I said. "Maybe if we're going to have that baby, we should go practice." She gasped and stared up at me. "Really? You want to? I mean, have a baby?" "Of course," I said. "I hope it's a red-headed girl like you. I love you with all my heart, Brianna." I picked her up and carried her through the empty house to our bedroom to start practicing. We had to kick Granville out, but I decided I liked making babies. As I drifted off to sleep, the picture on my night table of Maggie and Stokely held my eyes. They didn't look like vagabonds.